She didn't say thank you right away. She looked at it. Tilted her head slightly. And then, in the completely unfiltered, brutally honest way that only a small child can manage, she turned to her father and said the words that nobody in that room was expecting. "Is this my Hello Kitty?" Not with excitement. Not with the wide-eyed, breathless joy that a gift from the most famous baseball player on the planet should theoretically produce in a child. Just a quiet, slightly suspicious little question. The kind of question that makes every adult in the room freeze for half a second before deciding whether to laugh or disappear into the floor. Max Muncy heard it. And Max Muncy did what every father does in that moment. He smiled. He looked at his daughter. And somewhere behind that smile, he was thinking the exact same thing every parent thinks when their child says something like that in front of someone important. Please. Not now. But what happened next, what Shohei Ohtani did after that moment, is the reason this story became something that nobody who was there will forget for a very long time. To understand the weight of that Hello Kitty, you have to go back to before the Dodgers' 6-5 victory over the Kansas City Royals. You have to go back to a moment that most people watching from the stands never saw. A quiet moment inside the clubhouse, between teammates, between friends, the kind of moment that happens in baseball all the time but rarely makes it into the headline. Ohtani had made a promise. It wasn't a grand announcement. It wasn't something said in front of cameras or reporters or anyone with a microphone. It was the kind of promise that gets made in a conversation between two people when one of them says something offhand about their kids and the other one actually listens. Really listens. Not the way people half listen when they're distracted by something else. The way Ohtani listens, which is with his full attention, completely present, as if what you are saying to him is the only thing happening in the world at that particular moment. Max Muncy had mentioned, at some point in that easy, casual way that teammates talk to each other, that his daughter loved Hello Kitty. It was not a request. It was not a hint. It was just a father talking about his child the way fathers do, with that quiet pride that sneaks into everything they say about their kids whether they mean it to or not. Ohtani filed it away. Said nothing more about it at the time. And then went out and found the largest Hello Kitty he could. The Dodgers won that night 6-5. It was not a clean, comfortable victory. It was the kind of game that requires the full attention of everyone on the roster, the kind of game where the margin for error is narrow enough that one wrong pitch, one missed assignment, one moment of lost focus can tip everything the other direction. The Royals pushed back. They made the Dodgers earn every single run. And through all of it, Ohtani was there. Doing what Ohtani does. Making the game look both effortless and inevitable in the way that only he can, that particular combination of quiet confidence and physical brilliance that has made him unlike anything baseball has ever seen before. But the game itself was almost secondary to what was waiting in the clubhouse after the final out. The Hello Kitty was enormous. That detail matters. Because when Muncy described it later, he didn't say Ohtani had brought a Hello Kitty. He said Ohtani had brought a giant Hello Kitty. The kind of giant that takes up space in a room. The kind of giant that you cannot walk past without noticing. The kind of giant that a child sees from across a room and thinks, that cannot possibly be for me. And yet it was. Muncy talked about it afterward with that particular expression fathers get when something has genuinely moved them but they are trying to keep it together because they are professional baseball players and there are reporters in the room. The expression that lives right on the border between laughing and something a little deeper than laughing. He described the moment his daughter saw it. The way she went quiet. The way she looked at it for a long moment before saying anything at all. And then the question, small, careful, almost disbelieving. Is this my Hello Kitty? The room laughed. Of course it did. Because it was funny. Because there is something purely, perfectly funny about a child receiving an extravagant gift from a superstar and responding with suspicion instead of joy. It cuts right through everything. All the glamour, all the status, all the weight that the name Shohei Ohtani carries in every room he enters, a small child reduced it to a single quietly skeptical question and the whole world felt lighter for it. But Muncy wasn't just telling the story for the laugh. He was telling it because of what came after. Ohtani was watching. He always watches. It is one of the things that people who know him well mention again and again, the way he pays attention to the people around him. Not just to what they say, but to how they feel. To the small shifts in expression that most people miss because they are too busy thinking about what they are going to say next. He saw the little girl's face. He saw the question in it. Not just the words, the feeling behind the words. That mixture of wanting something to be true and not quite being able to believe it yet. That very particular kind of hope that children carry before the world has had enough time to make them cautious about hoping too much. And so Ohtani did something that nobody had asked him to do and nobody had expected him to do. He walked over. He crouched down to her level. And in that quiet, gentle way he has, the way that makes people forget for a moment that they are standing in front of the most valuable player in the history of professional sports, he told her that yes. It was hers. He had brought it for her specifically, because her father had told him she loved Hello Kitty, and he had wanted to make sure she had the biggest one he could find. The little girl looked at him for a moment. Then she hugged the Hello Kitty. And the adults in the room, the professional baseball players, the coaches, the people who work inside that clubhouse and have seen everything and are not easily moved by much, went very quiet in the way people go quiet when something simple and true happens right in front of them. Muncy, recounting it, paused at that point in the story. His voice didn't break. But it got a little softer. The way voices get when a person is trying to be precise about something that mattered to them. He said he had seen Ohtani do a lot of things on a baseball field that were difficult to believe. He had watched the home runs and the strikeouts and the moments that make the whole stadium catch its breath at once. He had been Ohtani's teammate long enough to stop being surprised by what he was capable of between the white lines. But this, he said, was different. Because this had nothing to do with baseball. There was no audience for it. There was no camera position to capture the perfect angle. There was no reason for Ohtani to do it except that he had made a promise and he kept it, and when he saw a child unsure whether something wonderful was really meant for her, he made sure she knew that it was. That's who he is, Muncy said. He didn't elaborate much beyond that. He didn't need to. There is a version of Shohei Ohtani that the world has constructed out of statistics and highlight reels and contract numbers and the sheer impossible scale of what he does on a baseball field. That version is real. The numbers are real. The highlights are real. The historic contract is real. But it is an incomplete picture. And moments like this one, a giant Hello Kitty, a child's quiet question, a superstar crouching down to make sure a little girl knew the gift was really hers, fill in the parts of the picture that statistics were never designed to capture. The Dodgers won that game 6-5. The box score will show Ohtani's contributions, whatever they were, recorded in the clean precise language of baseball. Hits, runs, RBIs, the numerical shorthand for what happened on the field. But the box score will not show the Hello Kitty. It will not show Muncy's face when he told the story. It will not show the moment a little girl stopped being uncertain and started being simply, completely happy. Those things happened outside the lines. In the space where baseball ends and the people playing it begin. After everything had settled, after the game was logged and the press conferences were done and the clubhouse had started to empty out, someone asked Ohtani about it. Just briefly. A simple question, almost an afterthought at the end of a longer conversation. Did he know the Hello Kitty was that big when he bought it? Ohtani smiled. Not the polite, camera-ready smile. The real one. The one that reaches his eyes. He said he had wanted to make sure she noticed it. That was all he said. He didn't explain his thinking beyond that. He didn't talk about what it means to him to be in a position to do things like this. He didn't reach for something philosophical or profound. He had wanted to make sure she noticed it. Sometimes the simplest answer is the one that stays with you longest. The Dodgers are a team built around the extraordinary. Around a player who does things that force people to revise what they thought was possible. The home runs, the pitching, the two-way brilliance that has no real precedent in the history of the sport, all of it extraordinary. But in the visiting clubhouse after a hard-fought 6-5 win over the Royals, what moved people was not extraordinary at all. It was a promise made and kept. A giant stuffed animal. A little girl's quiet, skeptical question. And a man who crouched down and made sure she knew. Yes. It's yours. I got it for you. That was Ohtani. Not the legend. Not the contract. Not the highlight reel. Just Ohtani.